Okay, what?
Well, it's interesting because
And start.
right beforehand we had I mean, for lack of a better word, like a flare up over the
It
soap
wasn't a
on
flare
the
up.
thing.
Okay,
Because
let me
I
just
sat
tell
there and
the
I
listeners.
messaged you, and
He
I said,
texted me a
I
picture
sent you
like a week
I said,
ago.
did you do this? Just by virtue of me asking if you did it, it automatically means that I did not do
Okay,
it.
it was palm olive soap. It's upside down. The top isn't even connected properly, and the entire bottle of soap, which was obviously low, was turned upside down so they could get out. The culprit, we do not know, could get out what they needed to get out, and it seeped all over this counter. And so he
Should I
texted me,
post
and
this
I was
picture
like,
in Slack?
no, of course I didn't do that. That's insanity. Why would I turn over dish soap opened on a counter to leak everywhere? So I'm like, maybe you accidentally did it. Long story short, though, I haven't been in the office for a week. I received that text maybe 6 days ago, and I just walked in the bathroom, and now there's palm olive crusted. I mean, it's like coagulating at this point. And I just came out and said, so you text me, you saw it, and you didn't do it?
I'm not sure
you
I've
didn't
been
clean
back
it up?
in there since then.
But oh my God, it's the bathroom.
Well, I know, but you're assuming that I went in there, but I might have not needed to go.
You haven't gone to the bathroom in
A week? Yeah, not here. I don't know.
We'll have to get you checked out.
I've had some early days where I've left for emergencies and other things, and
Emergencies.
Anything. If I only leave for your emergencies.
They are emergencies. Oh my gosh. Yesterday was a bit of an emergency. So this is bad. Talk about, and normally I say we won't have baby talk, but this baby has unintentionally had us slightly neglecting our puppy dog. She gets lots of love and attention.
Oh my gosh.
But long story short, we needed to refill her prescription, and we were on her last pill. And it's like I had done the job and refilled the prescription, but
because you hadn't,
Pepper
hadn't been there in a year to do her annual physical, so they wouldn't refill her prescription.
But I didn't know that, so it wasn't until
which is basically an antihistamine. We're basically
for her
paying
allergies.
$300 for something we can get over the counter for like $20.
Yeah, should we just give her
Yes, we should 100%
No.
just give her allergy medicine from over the counter.
For humans? No.
Yes.
No, absolutely not. I would never. But anyway, the vet, I was like, this thing's saying we haven't been there for a year, but I need her prescription refilled. We just used the last one. I thought it was on its way. And they were literally like, well, your dog hasn't been here. And I think she's due for vaccinations. And sure as shit, every month since February, I've been getting emails like, yo, your dog needs its shots.
First of all, how have you been ignoring these emails?
I don't look, it's my personal email.
Okay. And?
I don't really check that unless something important.
Well, it's obviously that you don't check your work either.
I don't check email. I'm not an email kind of gal. If you need me.
Are you a Slack person?
Kind of, yeah.
So you're a Slacker.
Yeah. I do Slack on my emails. I've never been good at email, even in my true professional roles.
Then why did you give me such a hard time? Because I have 10,000 unread emails.
No, I didn't give you a hard time about that when we got in the car the other day.
Uh-huh.
The car mirrored your phone and you had 105 missed calls.
Yeah, I get a lot.
It was the calls and I think the text message thing said 99, and that's only because I think it stops. I think it stops counting.
Joking. I'm not even joking.
I think the notification only goes high enough.
At least 5 calls or texts that say, "We'd love to loan your business $20,000 to $70,000."
You sit there and you're like, "Someone might have called me. Someone might have texted me. I don't know. I didn't see it." Or a doctor will call you and be like, hey, you missed your appointment today. Showed up on the wrong day. And you're like, oh, maybe I got a call. I don't know. I got lots of calls yesterday. Whereas I'm like, maybe I got an email, maybe I didn't. But if you call or text me, I'll get it.
You actually do answer every phone call.
And not spam phone calls, but if it's important enough, they'll leave a voicemail.
But you don't get a lot of spam phone calls.
No, I do not.
Where my phone number is plastered on all kinds of business entities. And
I saw it on a billboard going up to Tampa the other day.
My phone number?
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
You don't believe me.
For a second there, I thought maybe it was possible. There's this little scam.
Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I just kicked you in the shin.
The guy's like, if you tell me your if you tell me your email address, I'll have your password in 10 minutes. And then he's like, really? Why don't you show it to me? And then the guy, he doesn't say his password. He says things like, he's like, your address is this and your phone number is this. And it's like, ooh, like this is all publicly available information.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I saw something this morning and it was literally, I don't even know if this is true. So if it's not, it's not. But this woman was talking about like people who get TSA pre-check. And she was like, anybody who gets TSA pre-check is signing over their rights for eternity. Even if their pre-check like goes out, that the government can look into any one of your records, your medical records, your this, your that, your background. And I was like, if someone working for the government wants to look at my UTI meds, by all means.
Here's the thing: is it's like, yeah, that's what you're doing because we want to fly safe.
That's what I thought. They check it at the time.
Oh, and by the way, you live in a country where the government can do whatever they want. You're not,
regardless of what rights.
Yeah,
she's like in the very fine print. You are
subject to the government. Like you're already subject. The government's already going to look at it for no approval.
Well, and the thing is nobody thinks about that kind of thing. And then someone comes on and they're like, the TSA pre-check. They're looking at all your information, and it's like, well, you weren't thinking about it before. Now you're like, they're on to us. They need our personal info, and everyone freaks out.
Everyone has a family member.
But by the way, I'm about to post that video, so people are like, I don't want to be pre-check anymore, and then
lower the line.
Yeah, get out of my line. Good, you keep promoting that message.
You keep thinking people are going to get you.
They're stealing your information.
They're stealing your information.
Get out of line, people.
Yeah, conspiracy theorists. Like they're all over the place. Every family's got one. We got like 2, maybe 3.
What? We don't have anyone.
Not on your side.
I was just
yet.
We were safer just saying there's no one at all.
Oh no, and trust me, I'll call them all out.
Oh my gosh!
They're all
Stop it! Stop it!
Anyways, what I was thinking is that maybe we should make some propaganda videos like that because they get a lot of views. And we just did a propaganda video where I clapped my hands and we got like 50,000.
That was not a propaganda video. It was a trending little cheerleading girl.
Yeah, but no one saw the cheerleading girl until the end, so they must have really loved Maria.
It's the algorithm.
Really, I'm kind of feeling that people loved Maria and I, and then they just kind of got a chuckle at the end.
It was served to more people because it was a trend that was going on.
Okay, well, I think we should find some more trends.
Just like audio. Well, yeah, we should.
I love it. I mean, Maria did a great job, and that video got 50,000 views. We picked up like 34 subscribers.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's hard to do. Getting subscribers is hard in YouTube, because people are like, putting themselves out there for your feed and everything else. So,
it's definitely.
we're not like Mr. Beast here,
Mr. Beast.
Although I feel like maybe we should do like the Mr. Beast equivalent and like have briefcases of steak.
Oh.
For Dusted. Maybe we should come up with like our own little mini series where we like reenact like a Mr. Like, okay, which would you rather have? This beat up Chevy truck or this briefcase of steaks?
What would you? I'd rather have the steaks.
Really?
Well, if they were like nice premium.
Yeah, but you have a beat up Chevy
You had
truck.
me go to Publix the other day, and I was not into the steaks that we got there. They were fillets. They were fine.
They were delicious.
Yeah, they were fine. I got the premium cut at Whole Foods was really good the other day. And speaking of Whole Foods, oh.
Yeah,
MG.
You're a thief.
Literal thief.
You are a thief.
So
we
yesterday,
actually have a thief in our presence here today.
However, I'm not, but I was for a moment in time.
How long do you think you were a thief for?
3-4 minutes.
Isn't it amazing? Here's what's crazy about this whole story here. Okay. You realized what had happened and you returned.
Hold on. We haven't told the story yet.
Okay, go ahead. Tell the story.
So I went to Whole Foods after Pilates last night and I was getting dinner and you were like, I'm starving. So I got 2 things. I got salad and I got a rotisserie chicken. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the self-checkout.
I didn't even know that Whole Foods had rotisserie
always do. They looked good last night too. Yeah, by the soup. Yeah. So I'm checking out.
First of all, let me just say, anytime I see chicken just sitting out on counters with heat lamps, I'm just like, ugh.
I know he has a problem with he has a problem with a lot of food lately. But anyway, so I have the rotisserie chicken in the salad.
Yes.
I'm checking out. My chicken bag
is leaking.
Like opens, it's leaking.
Chicken juice.
And in the same moment,
been cooking for 10
the
hours.
lady that works there came to collect my basket. And I was like, oh, thank you. So I'm distracted by her. I'm distracted by the chicken. And then the other lady, I'm right by the door to exit. So I put my leaky chicken in a bag because it was leaking.
Plastic bag.
a paper bag.
Paper bag. They don't have plastic there.
Right. So,
So you're like SOL.
it's not super
We're
helpful.
not at Publix here, folks.
I got a leaky chicken in a paper bag and a door being held open for me because I was bagging my items. I think this woman thought I was done. I like grabbed it like I was going to go. And the door was open and I was like, I'm out of here.
Right. You just rushed out with
my
the bag.
leaky chicken are out. So I'm driving home and literally what was going through my head was, that wasn't that bad. The chicken plus the amount of salad we got will probably last us lunches for like 3-4 days. And I was like, gosh, what was that? $20? I was like, that's not bad. And then I thought to myself, how much was that? And I was like, oh my God. And then I realized I left without paying. And so
Yeah. You were a thief.
I will tell you, I gave my mind 3 seconds to be like, I was like, do I go back? Do I not go back? By the way, it's raining.
Okay, first of all,
I'm more pissed off. I'm going to get wet again.
There's levels of thievery. So I think everyone has gone shopping and forgot about the water or the toilet paper that's underneath the cart, right?
Right.
Like you check out and something
It was $20, but it was my whole order. And
you literally just bagged your whole order and walked out the door.
And I shop there all the time. And
Right.
so I'm like, I'm on camera.
You got
where
facial
where was it the
recognition.
police on duty? Like, where,
And there's always like a cop right there. And I'm thinking, who sits here? And like, why do you need a cop right at the checkout area?
well, by the way, they're not working that hard.
You know what's funny? Is they're probably like, yeah, the cop, he went on a break and we had a thief, a thief came
The
through.
guy took a 5-minute smoke break and that girl just walked out with all her groceries. So anyway,
So you go back.
in the pouring rain, and not only was it raining, I had to take my leaky chicken back out of the car because I knew I'd have to rescan my items. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I came in and I said to the woman, I am so sorry. And I did check both my credit cards just to make sure I wasn't losing my mind. And I was like, no, there is no charge anywhere.
There's no pending charge.
And the woman literally said to me, she was like, were you on that register right there? She goes, yeah, I just cleared it out. But then she kept saying to me, she was like, you should be customer of the year. I can't believe you just came back. And I was like, lady, I don't need any demons that I don't already
Well,
have.
you know, it's interesting because like I mentioned, I know there's probably been at least 3 times where I have left a store.
Don't tell me. I don't even want
with
to
an
know.
item.
I can't do it.
That was just in my, like it was missed. But there was a time when it was either Bree or Tyler, they were younger. And they were like, there was something underneath and they're like, we didn't pay for that one. And so now you're sitting like, in a normal world, I'm just kind of like, hey, like we all missed it. Like
You're like, that's a multi-billion-dollar company. They'll afford the $5
you know,
for
like
water.
accidents happen.
First of all, they budget for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's spillage and other things. So I sit here and I'm kind of weighing, like, you know, and by the way, there's been many times I've gone in and been like, hey,
We will
I need to
have
check
the
this out.
most honest children in the world.
But no, you're
'Cause
seriously, you have
I-
this little child looking at you and they're like, we didn't pay for this. And you sit there and you're like, you have no choice but to do the right thing and to say like, okay, let's go in and pay for this because, and it's like, it doesn't matter if it was 5 cents or $50.
Yeah.
You are now going back in.
It's an example.
And being an example
Yes.
to
Yes.
your child.
Well, I was not even with my
you know.
infant, thank God.
Now you could
I'll
sit there
tell
and be
you
like,
what.
hey, if this happens, it's karma. It helped us out. But you know, then
If
your kid's
Abigail
doing
was
that.
in the car screaming, I probably would have been like, oh, the thought literally crossed my mind to call the store because it was raining
and just pay over the phone.
and say, I just left. Here's what I had. Charge
They
me.
would they would have sent cops to you then. Because it's like, hey, I robbed the bank. This is where I'm at. Like you
No.
were, yeah. So what my point earlier was, is for like a good 5 minutes, you were on the run.
I was.
You were on the run.
with my groceries.
Okay. At any point during those 5 minutes, you had no idea
I wasn't
what
aware.
was going on.
So you mean if a cop pulled me over?
But then if you got picked up, they would have been like, you're arrested. And you'd be like, what about what? And you'd be like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. But it doesn't matter. Like you got caught. Like,
But
you,
if they would have said you didn't pay for this, I would have been like, what? Like, and I would have been like, oh my God, I didn't. I'll go back and pay right now.
no, you can't. No. Once you,
What do you mean
there's
you
no
can't? You're making up.
restitution.
You're making this up.
No, cops don't come get you and be like, hey, if
You
you
think they-
return the money.
That lady
if
was
you,
not like,
if you
check the footage.
unstab the person, we can just forgive you. No, it doesn't
The
work that
lady in the
way.
store cleared it out. She was like, oh shit, someone got out of the
Spillage.
door with $20 on my watch.
Yeah.
She was like, what are we going to
They have,
do?
like reports like that. It's like, hey,
She-
because okay, here's my thought. First of all,
Find the
I
girl,
hate-
find the car she got into
I
in the parking lot.
hate with a passion. Look, okay, this is going to sound very bad, okay?
Well, then don't
But if
say
I
it.
wanted to bag my own groceries, I get a job as a bagger. Okay.
No, I love bagging my own groceries.
Okay.
I
do not like to sit there and scan. I want to put my stuff up and I
No.
want them to scan.
Nope.
And I want my stuff bagged.
And that is
I
where
want it
we
in the
differ.
cart.
I can have
No.
100 items in my cart, and I will pull my ass up to the self-checkout and like perfectly
I
bag.
want compensation. I literally,
No.
I feel like they should have a card that says,
Hire me.
5 cents off when you bag your own groceries or something, like, because
Well,
I'm doing the work
Then if that was the case, I earned my $20 that I stole yesterday.
over the last 20 years. you
Anyway,
certainly
I
have.
repaid it, everybody. I repaid it.
So that's
I
restitution.
went back. I drove all the way back.
Oh my gosh, that was a good story. It was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was funny.
You're my little
Well, then
thief.
I came home, and normally I'm in such a good mood after Pilates. And he was like, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "I ruined my own night. Got wet twice."
I know. Yeah, you weren't in the you were not in the bestest.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
It was
I
fine.
survived.
I had
woke
no
up.
gas
I
in my
wasn't feeling
car.
Good.
I
Probably
wa-
all led to it. All kind of.
Oh my
compiled on
gosh.
top
So
of it.
Chris is like a healer. We truly do believe this.
Okay, well, everyone has gifts, right? And so if you are religious, you believe in the gifts. Okay.
Even if you're not religious, people can have gifts, magical powers. Call it what you
Well,
want
where are they
to
going to get it from? Where are they going to get their gifts from?
Magic.
Okay, whatever. So, anyways, I have my gift is
Seeing into the
healing.
future.
I actually do believe that I can see things. I have a little bit of I can see
Premonitionary.
premonitionary.
Yes.
I'm a premonitionary.
A premonitioner. I don't know what it is
premonition.
called.
But I have healing things. So like if I touch you and I
Physically.
physically touch and I pray or whatever, I do feel
He
that
has
it's
to-
not healing.
You have to want the person to feel better.
I have to want the person to feel better, but what ends up happening in my case is I actually absorb
Whatever's going on.
whatever's going on. And so it's not
This
like
has happened
it
our
magically
whole
goes.
relationship. Like I might be like, I've had a headache for 3 days, and he's like, "Oh, that's terrible." And out of nowhere, like he'll be like, "God, my head hurts." And I always felt like he used to be like stealing my thunder. I'm like, "You never have a headache. I have one for 2 days. All of a sudden, you have one." But then he'd be like, "I feel like every time you say it, I feel like you gave me your headache. I feel like you."
No,
and,
I take it. Like
and then
my
I'm like, "You
body
know what? Now that
literally-
you say it, I feel better."
and then the other person feels amazing.
So this week, Abigail got her 4-month vaccinations.
She got her vaccination.
And he literally came home from work completely fine. She had the worst
was
day
like,
ever.
fine. Like I was
And he
100% fine.
touched the child. And it's like he sucked the polio diphtheria out of her body.
Polio diphtheria.
He literally is holding the baby. He's like, "Oh my God." And she was
Literally in a matter
she
of
was
like 30 seconds, like everything's transitioning.
she
in me.
was in the worst mood all day.
and then she starts
she's
giggling and smiling, and I'm just like, I'm
And
like,
he-
I'm like literally like falling over,
And
and
I'm like,
I
was like,
don't know what's
"Are
going
you
on, but
okay?"
I have absorbed
Anyway,
everything that she's feeling,
whether
and I
it's
need
all-
to pass out.
He's like closing his eyes.
I literally like
I was like, "Do you need to go to the hospital?" So anyway, and then the next day our dog got vaccines, and so it's been a week of
I
healing.
petted that. Now I got dog like just, like licking myself.
You got rabies.
I don't know, but I definitely I don't know. I got to stop healing people.
And animals.
I got to stop healing people.
Oh, so that's been the week so far. This weekend we went to the lake for my dad's birthday. It was very rainy,
Yeah.
but we played some new games.
Yeah, it was rainy. We played Survivor, which actually
It's a good game.
it started out rough, but I think as it kind of got along,
Well, we
you
had
and
to
me,
learn it.
You and me were playing like Survivor.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
we were
yeah.
making deals
Kind
and
of makes me
tribes.
feel like we
and,
should go on the show.
you know what? Here's the thing. I would just get it. I would be an early out. I would be an early out
Well, first of all, yeah, you
because I'm a
make
threat.
1, you're
I'm
a
a-
threat.
I'm a challenge
and 2,
threat.
you're
I'm
loud.
a-
3, you know it all, and 4, literally, you would like rub
No,
people the wrong
the problem
way.
is I probably would work. I probably go too hard because I would like totally go. So like if I got picked up for Survivor, I would totally go Usual Suspects.
I don't even know what that is.
You don't know who Kaiser Soze is?
No.
Okay. Well, first of all, I would be like the Kaiser Soze of like Survivor.
Okay, what's
So
Kaiser
I'd
then?
show up. So basically, I don't want to ruin it for you, but like Kaiser Soze is like the baddest motherfucker.
Ruin what?
Okay. But
Is it a movie?
yes.
Okay.
You've never seen Usual Suspects?
No. Have you, Maria?
Yes.
No, Maria's clueless.
Oh my gosh. I cannot believe
What
you
year
haven't
did
seen
it come
this movie.
out? 1950?
No, like 1992, probably. Like 1990. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a 90s movie for sure.
Okay.
But but anyways, he's a gimp, right? And so the entire time you're thinking it's this gimp, or you don't suspect the gimp. So I would show up to Survivor and I'd be like,
Stop.
and people are like, that guy's not going to hurt us. And
Oh
like,
my
even
God,
on the
stop.
challenges,
Just stop what you're saying right now. Stop
on the
everything
challenge,
you're
I'd be
saying.
like,
Oh my God. Stop.
I have to throw the challenges.
First of
and
all,
everything.
he couldn't even throw or change his personality for 5 minutes if he
You're
tried.
right, I couldn't.
But
because you're
also,
so
everything you just said is so inappropriate. Like, I would tell Marie to edit it out, but she'll
Says
probably
the
just
thief.
make a short of it. I'm not a
Says the
thief.
thief.
I'm not a thief. I'm not a thief. Anyway,
Burglar.
we had a good time. I made a Mexican
Bandit.
feet.
We're the birthday bandits.
We are the birthday bandits.
Yeah. That's like one of our monikers. We're the birthday bandits.
Monikers.
Yeah, it's like a name or something like that. Like a moniker.
Full of words.
Yeah.
Okay, what updates did you
Welcome
bring to the table?
2025 spelling bee competition. Moniker.
MONACUR.
No, there's a K in there.
What?
Anyways,
It's not fair. I didn't really know.
yeah,
the
I mean,
word.
so we hit up a couple things. I'm not sure. A lot of people that get, talking about spending money and everything else. I think we talked about like us preparing our trips and everything.
Yeah, we have
But
none.
I get a ton of these memes where they talk about like looking at your bank account and they're like, I only got $300, but you're still planning that trip to Disney.
Well, you and our friends, the Craigs, are obsessed with Disney, and so the algorithms serve you Disney.
They
content
serve me
all the time.
nonstop. Where it's
I
like
don't have anything Disney.
everything. It's like you
Nothing.
can't afford it, but
I have zero Disney anything. Even when it comes through in a text and people are trying to force me to watch about
Yeah.
Disney, I usually don't.
remind me to show you the message I sent to my siblings.
Okay.
Yeah, later tonight.
Inappropriate.
Oh, totally inappropriate.
Got it.
Yeah.
You and your siblings can be.
Yeah, we're just out of
One
control
in
sometimes.
particular.
So we're real
His
excited.
sister's the one where like a hurricane's coming, like a legitimate hurricane's hitting Florida. And it's like, check the radar. This is the best place to get your news. And it's like a huge black man with like his thing in between. You're just like, oh my God, Stephanie, I'm worried about a hurricane.
You're getting upset at me because of my Survivor and my strategy, and yet you're throwing out.
Everyone knows that meme.
No, not everyone knows that.
Well,
meme.
someone's got a family member that's sending it
I
around.
tell you, everyone's got a family member. I know for sure. But
Anyway, so speaking of, I can't do a good transition from that one. Big
What are we speaking
business.
what's big business?
I don't know. You have business things. On
Oh
your
gosh,
list here.
we got all kinds of things that are going on. If I can get through my throat issue all of a sudden,
Would you like some water?
I would love some water. Thank you so much.
Wow, now I need to fill the space.
I'm not sure if we actually talked about like collecting on invoices. I think we had a big invoice, like a $4,000.
Yeah, we did talk
seasoning
about
invoices,
that.
Which it doesn't sound like. I know there's people out there and they're sitting there and they're going.
Did you get past it or?
I didn't even drink the water yet. So,
He said, I don't want. There you go.
but like some people would sit there and go, oh, $4,000. That golly, I'm owed way more than on something else. But in the seasoning world, when you're selling a $3 item, that's a lot of $3 items that make up the 4,000. And so we didn't threaten legal. I just basically said, hey,
I feel like you just randomly started talking about this with like no context to anybody.
well, this is dusted. This
Yes.
is seasoning and palette. I got a palette of product that left.
we
and
did
then
talk about it
they
previously.
did, yeah, we've already talked about this. And so this is like the latest update because we do talk about like, hey, what do you do when someone owes you money, right? And so we have this palette.
I owed Whole Foods money. They did nothing.
They were coming after you. Trust me. You were going to be in the next report. Why do you think they make videos and stuff? Trust me, your picture would have been up on the wall.
I might be on CCTV anyway.
Back in the day, there used to be people and they were like, if you bounce a check, we're going to post your check on the wall. And so literally there would be like stores and there would be checks.
So the
that were
register
pinned.
person could look behind and
No,
be like,
just to embarrass you.
oh,
To
it's not-
embarrass you.
It's just not nice.
Because you'd be checking out and you'd be like, oh my gosh.
You know what
that's
I
my
hate
neighbor.
lately is that like credit card machines, like Apple Pay should work everywhere because the swipes are so old that
The
if
swipes, I
anyone's
don't even
still
think I've ever
using
swiped.
if someone's still using a swipe, they're like, oh, it's not working, but it's this machine. They're like, it's declined. You're like, no, it's not. Your machine's not working. Get Apple Pay. Join the 21st century.
Seriously. Anyway,
$4,000 for the pallet.
Yeah,
and these
so-
people just hadn't paid.
They hadn't paid, so we basically, went into ChatGPT and said, "Hey, I need a demand letter that references some legal stuff, and we're not going to say we're going to sue them, but give me some legalese." And so it put together a great message on New Jersey law and contracts and verbal commitments, et cetera. And so we sent that to them. And almost immediately we got a response. They were like, oh, okay. Then they set a call. And then they said,
Which this had been after many
this is after a couple months
of reaching out with no response.
And so finally.
And then they were like, oh, it's a miscommunication.
Oh, it's miscommunication. I'm like, yeah, sure. So they tell us they're going to pay us on the 29th. And this is just last week. And so we did a payment on the 29th for exactly 50% of the amount.
Yeah.
And it's so bizarre because it's like.
So nothing else came?
Well, no. And I've sent them emails with no response. At least 3 emails. Yes. And so we were doing some research and we feel like they paid it down so it went below a certain dollar threshold.
Oh, that they then can't be like sued for.
The problem is that they're $10 over the threshold.
What do you mean?
So like they paid exactly 50%.
Right.
So it had to be for it to fall into a lower court, it had to be under $2,000.
Right.
But they owe us $2,010.
So it can still be in the higher court.
So it can still be in the higher court. And so
so you're going to send them a letter informing them of such?
No.
Because then they might just pay you $10.
We're not going to say anything about that. What we are going to do is probably just send a
demand letter,
a certified letter to them now at this point.
Yeah.
And be like, hey, that gives us our $2,000. Because, as a small little
it's the principle.
seasoning startup, you can't just let people walk away with, $8,000 worth of product of
it's
retail.
The principle.
I mean, that's what they're selling it for, right? So they're selling it for $8,000, and we're getting 4 of that. So
it's tough.
It is tough. It is tough. So anyways, I'm super excited. We actually made 2 hires. They're both starting this month, in the month of June.
Did you make an offer to
Kyle?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No. Do you have an interview with him today?
That's why I was asking. It's good to know if he's already got the job.
No, he does not already have the job, but although we are leaning towards him. Remember, you're supposed to find out what his current salary is as well in that call.
Okay, we cannot be talking about this on this podcast. It's going to launch Friday, and he's going to be like, I wonder if they picked me.
Well, Kyle, if you don't get the call, pal,
then it didn't go well with me.
It didn't go well with Beth. So it's like a premonition, like us looking in the past. But no, in all seriousness, we hired a VP of marketing for the company to take over kind of like all the trade shows, the outreach, the newsletters, the blogs.
I got fired.
You didn't get fired. You got repositioned. I like to call it, what do they call that when you shuffle everyone around the company? We're doing a reorg. We're doing a reorg.
It's okay.
And so
my new title's mom.
Yeah. And no, actually your new title, and I actually talked to Marie about this, and we talked about it on the monthly huddle, which was getting you back in the kitchen.
I was there today. I heard.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm going to be, but you wanted to make me the chief culinary officer.
I did think that was really good. I thought that was a really good kind of a thing to make you the chief culinary officer.
Yeah.
For our food brands and just kind of getting that out there. It's a passion of yours. You enjoy it.
Well, I did say we were going to start recipes on Wednesdays, which I'm still down to do. However, Wednesdays have become my only day for like appointments. And apparently I'm 4 months behind on what's supposed to be going on in life. So.
Right. I think your nails
But I'm almost caught up.
Yeah.
No, my nails look like shit. I just got them done last week.
Yeah. You have to find outside time for that. Like the rest of us. I don't get my nails done during work hours.
Well, if I find outside time, then that means you're on
I can do it.
duty.
I'm up for the challenge.
For the challenge.
I am up for the challenge. I can do that for you.
That's good.
It's like part of, what was it the other day that you were talking about? And you were like, there's a dad, and they were like.
I did. So this guy just posted a video, and he was like, every time I'm out with my kids and he sees like neighborhood moms or teachers at a school or whatever, it's like, oh, wow, you're on babysitting duty today. Well, what did you do to get the kids? Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm their dad. I'm not babysitting. I'm literally just being their parent. He was like, he said, he was like, dads, we need to do better. Like this expectation. And it is, by the way, what I say, if you're going to watch her, it's what girlfriends say of mine, that if they're,
Well, you say it to me and
you've made the same
I get
comment,
kind of upset at you.
Which
and I'm
I've
kind
said,
of like,
yeah.
I'm like, why are you asking me that? Like, to me, like, this is I look forward to this time.
Yeah.
To spend.
Yeah. It's your own kid.
I understand that I have limited time, but
Yeah.
it's definitely something that I definitely look, it's definitely enjoyable. So the reason why I brought up hiring is because I'm definitely burned out on interviewing.
Well, are you almost done? Because I'm sure the office is burned out too with the
Trust
amount of
me.
interviews you've
Oh
had.
my gosh, they have to.
People
just be
probably
hating
have their
life.
music so
Oh,
high up.
everyone has to put their headsets on. I feel like Maria is like permanent headsets over there now because she's just like, I can't listen to him talk about this one more time. Poor Megan, she's the closest, so she's got to listen to it like right there.
Yeah, she could probably regurgitate and say it
I feel
herself
like
at this
I
point.
feel like Megan actually hears the other person talking too, because she's
How
like,
loud it is.
or either that, or she's like amazing at filling in the blanks on the people.
'Cause
She's
she's
like,
like,
I'm
"Oh,
not
did
sure.
they-"
I'm not sure if Kyle's gonna be the right one. I'm like, how do you know
Except
this?
not you, Kyle. He's just using that name. Because
But what's really funny here is that we have all of our positions are like, hey, you need to be on site. You're coming into the office. And so we have especially our developer positions, because a lot of developers, they're like, hey, I'm located whatever. I can do the work wherever. And so I specifically put into the thing.
Well, think about the personalities of people who are developers. It's very rare to find an extroverted developer.
That is not true. There's so many extrovert developers and they're normal people. So like me.
For all you not normal introverts.
And so anyways, the ad basically says, you must live in Sarasota or Manatee counties.
I know who you're about to talk about.
You must live in Sarasota or Manatee counties.
Yeah.
And if you don't, and your resume says another town, I will immediately decline you unless you explain in this question why I should consider you. And so some people have put in, I'm planning to move to Sarasota, right? And so I hate to say that, whatever. Anyway, I interview this guy, and he's just mediocre.
Well, you had already you had the interview, and just for time reasons, like conflict,
I had to move.
You
this
had to
particular
move
interview.
it. You had to move it once, which is completely normal. Businesses are busy. Things come up. People get, and you're just like,
needed the time
because
so
this is
I
a
moved.
virtual. This was
Right,
a
this is
virtual
meeting.
interview.
And so my response to him was, "Hey, I'd really like to meet you. I don't want to, I apologize that we're doing this, but I need you to pick a new time." And somehow that was taken as,
and you worked with
I
his
thought
schedule.
You were a rock star or whatever. He picked time in my schedule.
No, and that's what's so weird is you didn't have the initial discussion. So then it was like, anyway.
Yeah. So I get on this call.
So it's still only the initial interview.
And basically he's like, yeah, I'm up in Tennessee. I'm planning to move down to Sarasota. And it's like, I was like, so you don't have a
Don't
plan
give any
right now?
personal information about where he is.
No, I don't care. This guy deserves it. He deserves everything. And so
Stop.
literally we get to the end of the call, and he's not the right one. He doesn't have the skill sets. This is like a senior position, developing, and he doesn't live here. And so I'm just like, hey, and so I totally leave the door open for him. Like, hey, it's really nice talking to you. I said, when you relocate here, why don't you? I said, you're not in the right position for this right now. When you relocate here, why don't you meet with us and we'll see where we're at and see if there's an opportunity.
Right.
Here.
It could be like there's a junior level
and
position.
As I'm
open.
saying this language at the end,
yeah,
right, his face and everything shifts, and there's like this annoying like anger that overcomes it. And literally, as he's like, okay, fine. And he literally hangs up, right?
Which is so unprofessional, so unbelievable.
Right. And I left the window open.
Right.
For,
to
hey,
say, come in.
Here, come in.
Yeah.
And we'll entertain, something. So then I get like an email like an hour later.
No, you got hate.
I got hate mail like an hour later.
You got hate
And he's
mail.
like, if you're going to waste both of our times.
Yeah, why waste our time if you already knew you weren't?
I had to sit and listen to you talk about your subpar.
And he literally says, as if I cared.
As if I cared. And I'm sitting there going,
it's like,
wow.
Well, and also it's like, oh my God. First
we
of all,
dodged a bullet with that dude.
Whoa, no kidding. But if it showed that
and I wanted to
easily,
respond that way. By the way, I wanted to respond with like, bro, totally dodged a bullet with you, bro. Like just and just roast him. But I actually was like,
no, you not responding at all is probably drives him crazier.
No, I responded in a nice way. I basically took it, gave exactly what happened to ChatGPT, and I said, write me a nice response, a positive response back. That is, I'm really good at asking, like, hey, I want to stab them in the heart and twist it, but I want them to live. Give me that language. And it is good because it's kind of like, hey, I really value our time. I always want to make sure that everyone has an equal chance to see, because you never want to find a diamond or a piece of shit under a rock. Like,
you
not sure which one you are.
A piece of shit, but no, it was so crazy. And I was like, okay, how old is this person? You thought like maybe this person was like in like late 20s, early 30s. And I'm just like, In what world? By the way, obviously, like mental issues, because you
Mental.
cannot hold a position or be in the professional world if that's the way you react with a first
any bit of
impression to
negativity.
just the owner of the company. Like,
That's another thing.
is
It's like
so insane.
the owner of the company is taking time to interview you,
And then it's
go through-
like-
and I give everyone.
I know.
I mean, you have to just either not be here, not qualify, whatever. But if you even have a little bit of hope, like I'm like, you know what? Because a lot of people can't articulate in their resume, so you never know when you're going to find someone amazing.
We have positions open, but we also, if we speak to someone and we find that like their personality is amazing, they're not right for that position, but maybe they can do something else or whatever. We're like, hey, we'll keep you in mind, or
Let's see if we can, push you over
reshuffle,
here or do something different.
But this guy, I mean, I literally am like, in what world? When you go and you interview for a job, like you expect to get a yay or a nay.
Right.
Like the guy got a no. It was a 50-50
he got to know. He didn't
shot,
have to
man.
sit there and wait. I truly feel that he thought because I rescheduled and said I really want to meet, really want to meet with you. He took that as like somehow he was like he had this golden resume.
Like all I've ever seen was your resume. And I still haven't talked to you.
He goes, I read this job and I was like, man, this is perfect. This is exactly what I needed in my life. Like he's the one that was like,
okay, well, first of all, he's obviously depressed and having issues and thought this job was going to save his life, which is not the answer. And second of all, I mean,
I do interview people that
he
and I'm
sat there
going,
and he said,
"We're really praying."
He
that,
said,
that
as
this
if
job,
I cared. It's like, well, you should care
Well, I
because
think
it's
he totally cared. I think I hurt his feelings.
I think so. A lot of people, hurt people hurt,
Hurt people hurt,
but it didn't hurt you.
No, it made me angry that someone could, to be like that, and so I just had to be humble.
Yeah.
It's actually the second time.
He
I had to be
doesn't tell
humble
me
in a
much of what goes on during like the work week, but he came home this day and he was like, you won't believe
what this asshole did.
Okay, but what you said the second time you've had to be humble.
Oh, with the guy that treated me as the spice guy.
Yeah.
So
okay.
there are people in this world, and here's the thing: you have to be very careful who you're talking to. You don't really know who you're talking to.
No,
you don't know what people have been through. You don't know the challenges they've had, the struggles they've overcome, or anything like that. And
you don't know their financial. You don't know if they're the owner
or
if
they're rich. You don't know if they're poor. Like,
I mean, perfect example. One of our favorite local spots. The owner of the place is constantly the one running the food, and if you didn't know it, you'd have no idea.
Know he was the owner.
He's in a t-shirt and jeans or whatever, running around, handing the food off, saying hello. You just think he was a food runner.
You literally would think that he picked him up and was just like, "Hey, buddy, you want to make $20 tonight running food?"
Yeah,
and he was like, "Anything."
But you have no idea. And down the street, there's a sign shop, and there's a guy who owns the entire place and does amazing. And if you walked in and saw him, he'd be installing graphics on the side of a truck, and you just think he was an installer. Like, you just don't know. You never know.
Here's the thing. Just because you're behind the desk, don't assume that you are the man.
Okay, and also, I will say, it doesn't matter, even if you were that low end of the totem pole person who maybe doesn't have the right for decision making or whatever. No one deserves to be treated any sort of way because, like, it doesn't matter if you're the owner. You shouldn't be given more respect just because of it. But there are people who are like that. And what's the worst is when you can tell they have the ego. They're in that position, or they think they should be treated special. So they're then going to treat the other people like shit. Whereas it's the real owners who are right there doing the work, who get their hands dirty.
People always say, like, the people, and this isn't always true, but a lot of times, like the owners that we talked about, they are much more humble because they understand it's there's so much work that's involved in it, and so it is a humbling experience altogether.
But you lead by example. You can't sit there and tell your employees to do something that you're not willing to do.
Right, exactly. And so I was in a situation where I was sitting in front of someone, and we were trying to educate them on our dusted product. And
he drove a long way
and I
just
drove
for
hours
this visit.
for this appointment.
Yes.
And
took away from family time.
Took away from family time.
On a weekend.
Took away from other business, other work. And I'm sitting there, and someone who has, we'll call it fifth generation, has been handed a business.
Right.
But
didn't start it from
But
scratch.
is in a position where they're making some decisions and whatever. The way that they kind of treated and talked down to me, it was very hard for me to just suck it up.
Instead of being like, listen, dude, I don't
Right.
know who
And
you
be
think
like,
I
I'm not
am.
sure who you think
Just
you
it's a
are.
hobby. So
Yeah.
good for you.
My
And,
hobby does more than your whatever. So, you know, and sit there and talk about, you know, what we've done with that. But
yeah.
again, I had to sit there and just, you know what? This person just doesn't know. I need to kind of shift, and I had to change my attitude. You can't change other people, but you can
No.
change yourself and how you react to things.
Isn't that the truth? Wow. And with those words of wisdom, I think we should leave it till next week. I've got to talk to Kyle to determine whether or not I can hire him.
All right. We'll let you know if Kyle makes it or not.
Have a great week, guys.